Alright, what's up guys? So in this video, what we're going to be doing is just keeping it raw and real, and I'm going to be kind of discussing some of the key lessons I've been learning as I'm scaling to 50K a month right now, and then eventually 100K a month. But the important things I want to talk to you guys about are 6 different things. And the first is leadership, second is build to sell, third is systems, fourth is consistency, fifth is race to get out of operations or get out of the day-to-day as soon as possible, and sixth is freedom is the goal. Freedom is the name of the game in business. And so we're currently sitting around 30-ish. We're going to break 30 this month, and we could break 40 and potentially 50. Who knows? You could sell, 5, 6K pips back to back to back. We all know that that can happen easily. So we'll see how this month goes. But it's just a pure 60-day sprint right now. So the first lesson is leadership. Now, as I'm continuing to delegate, because multi-six figures a month is the goal, but you can't get there without a team. And so as I continue to delegate each position, each task, each operation, I have to continuously ask myself, am I somebody worth working for? Now, attracting talent is one of the biggest bottlenecks companies face. And you have to have the cash on hand to hire, actual talent, right? If you're like sub 20K a month, maybe hire offshore. Great places to hire are the Philippines, Egypt, Lebanon, certain countries in South America. And you want to start to delegate some of the low leverage tasks, and you also want to keep track of your day-to-day task. Now, this is something separate, but basically, here's a really cool hack and nugget. If you aren't doing this already, you should be doing this because it's going to increase your awareness. And so that hack is this. For an entire week straight, every single 30 minutes during the workday, just jot down 1 or 2 words and what you did. At the end of that 7 days, look back on that sheet and say to yourself, what was the lowest leverage task I did? If you're still setting up the campaigns and you spent 2 hours setting up campaigns one day, boom, be like, oh wow, I set up campaigns for a brand new client. It took me a little bit more than 2 hours. That's like a $10 a day task, or $10 an hour task. Delegate that ASAP. If you were cold calling, if you don't have a setter, if you're dialing your own leads, that is a seller's job. It's a B2B seller's responsibility. That's not yours. And so if you get tied down on these tasks, you're not going to be able to focus on the highest leverage thing, which in this case will be closing. So your time is being spent setting appointments here, hire a B2B setter. So use this nugget for increasing your awareness in what you're doing and delegating these tasks as soon as possible. Another rule of thumb when scaling or when delegating is if you don't like something, just delegate it right away. A lot of people don't like sales. I love sales. I want to get extremely good at sales because we all know that saying, if you know sales and marketing, you're set for life, right? So why not do it to the best of your ability? And so if you don't like sales, I know some of my friends don't like sales, they delegated that right away, hired a closer, gave them 10-15% of upfront cash or whatever it is. Some people don't like media buying. I hate media buying. I do. I'm good at it, but I don't enjoy it. I'm not a numbers guy. I don't like any of that shit. So I just delegate that and then I'll manage my media buyer. So as I continue to scale, I have to hire positions and I have to continually ask myself, am I somebody worth working for? Would an A player want to work with my company? Now, these are the questions of business we have to be asking, because I remember vividly a video of Hormozi talking about you have to make sure first you're in the right vehicle for business, and then second, it's not the vehicle, it's you. It's the person behind the business vehicle. And so the fascinating thing about entrepreneurship is that it's just a game of last man standing, a game of who can endure the most. And as you know, Hormozi says the person that loves to walk will always beat the person that loves the destination, right? So the person that loves walking will go further than the person that loves the destination. And so you have to continuously show up. Are you a person worth working for? Do you have the capital on hand to hire A players? And these are the truthful questions we have to be asking ourselves when building, when hiring, because again, one of the biggest bottlenecks most companies face, even huge Fortune 500 companies face, is finding talent. It's a very real thing. And I'm experiencing this a lot more, and it really comes down to being a better leader, okay? And it's continuously about showing up. Like, this isn't something you're going to be half in, half out with. Like, your team needs you until you can hire somebody that can take your place, which in this case in SMMA would be an operations manager. But until you get to that point, which is not many people who are able to step out of the day-to-day, then you have to show up every single day. You have to attend the meetings. You have to keep the spirit high. Even when your spirit isn't high, you have to honestly just fake it in the moment, because that's what good leaders do. They show no fear. They show no cowardice or laziness or anything negative at all. Everything is forward, positive momentum, forward thinking, solution oriented, etc., etc. The second is build to sell. Now, I'm starting to understand this a lot more because on a day-to-day basis, my team members can come to me with things that they shouldn't be asking. Now, yeah, sure, I get it. Some people might say there are no stupid questions, but to be honest, there are stupid questions, okay? If you SOP the entire process, of what their responsibilities are, and they then continue to ask you for things you mentioned in the SOP, it might be on you for the first one or two times, but then it's up to you to basically be firm and direct with them and say like, hey, this is mentioned in the SOP. I know you already asked about this, but I need you to refer back to the SOPs because you can't keep coming to me with these problems. Now, if you continue to come to me with problems, what I want you to do is offer 2 or 3 solutions and then offer one solution that you think would work best in this situation. Now, this is going to allow your team members to think critically in these moments instead of coming to you with just pure problems. Okay, now it's true that there's something called decision fatigue, right? That's why essentially we have to plan the night before your days, your mornings, because decision fatigue is a very real thing. If you wake up and you don't know what the fuck you're going to do and you have to make 10, 15, 20 decisions back to back to back to back to back, you can't get into deep work because people are just bombarding you, you're fucked. Your mornings are fucked. You're not going to be in flow state. You're not going to reach flow state. You're not going to get your deep work done for the day. Your morning's going to be all off. And your mind is going to be pretty much everywhere. And so you need to build to sell, which goes back to the initial point, which is SOP the entire process, have firm team culture, team and company culture. Tell them that it's not okay to just come to you as a leader with just problems, but rather come with problems and solutions and then what their opinions are on that best solution on that problem moving forward. So there are a couple of different things and really just build to sell. Like, I'm at a point now where the fulfillment process is completely systemized, and all my team members need from me is just basic information after the onboarding call, and that's pretty much it. The third is systems. Now, from 0 to 15, 20K, you don't really need systems, being honest. You can pretty much get there by brute force and willpower, and it's kind of like that push motivation, which is totally fine. But from that like 20 to 50, 60, or actually just 20 at bare minimum, 15, 20-ish, you need to start hiring and putting systems in place. Now, these systems include, like just mentioned, fulfillment, sales, back-end operations, tech. You need to have these things in place because fires will appear on a day-to-day basis, and it's really not your job to just continuously put these fires out that shouldn't be there if you had the systems in place, if you SOP'd the entire process, if you put them into a school community where your team members can go back and reference the material that you basically had them learn. And so and you cannot get to 6 figures a month without a killer team in the agency space. Now, of course, I'm not there, but this is advice from people who are there. Now, I'm just reiterating what they're said. And as I continue to grow and scale, I come to terms with that truth. And I'm like, oh, wow, okay, this is their advice. I'm applying it to my own agency. And it's very true. If I had no team members, I would still be stuck at fucking sub 15K a month, right? And so you cannot get there without systems, without a killer team. And that's why you have to go back to point 2, which is build to sell. And that's the third point. Now, the fourth point is consistency. Now, I'm also figuring out too that you cannot get to 6 figures a month consistently without being consistent. Without being consistent in testing new B2B ads and continuously posting your organic content for your agency, continuously having a pipeline of hiring candidates for each position, right? You cannot get there if you're inconsistent. Now, you can get away with being inconsistent and like hovering that like 50-ish a month mark, honestly, like around there. But in order to get to 6 figures a month consistently and build an MRR of 6 figures a month of 100K a month at bare minimum, you need to be consistent, and consistency compounds. Now, one of the really cool laws of success, which honestly kept me going in the beginning because I knew it would happen sooner or later, is success is exponential, not linear. To those who have more, more will be given. To those who have less, less will be given, right? So success is exponential, kind of like that hockey puck graph. And the same applies the other way. A downward spiral, bro, that shit will fuck you up for days, if not weeks on ends. And so that's why you need to consistently be in a good mood at all times and be aligned to that purpose of yours and act in that abundant state and act in the identity of the person that you are becoming, right? So that's the difference between being consistent and inconsistent and what's possible with the agency if you stick with it. Now, I wouldn't be where I'm at today if I was just inconsistent. Like, I've been pretty consistent, and so there's also going to be a lag too in reality versus your actions, right? So 80% of the work, or excuse me, the Pareto distribution. So 20% of your work will amount to 80% of the outcomes, right? So you need to just be as consistent as possible. And for 2, 3, 4 weeks, for months, it might feel like nothing's happening, but there's going to be a lag in reality by months, depending on the vehicle. If you're in software, years. But that's why they people in software or SaaS exit for multi 8 figures, if not 9 figures. So that's exactly the difference there. And so that's that. Now, the difference, and just the last point in consistency, we all know if you're a really good sales rep, like the difference between really good and really bad sales reps is that really good sales reps are on 24/7. It doesn't matter their mood. And it's the exact same thing with being a leader, growing a team or growing a company to multi 6 figures a month. You can't be half on, half off. Now, the fifth point is it's a race to get out of operations, out of the day-to-day. Now, I'll tell you guys my team structure, right? Because the point of this channel is just to give value and just to kind of give others in the space and ideas to kind of where I'm at and how I could help them in any way possible. And so my team right now is me as founder, 1 B2B setter, 1 call center rep, 1 media buyer, 1 VA, right? So 5 team members. I need 2 more, and 1 tech person, excuse me. So we have 6 people on the team, but I need 2 more hires to get out of operations. Those hires include a CSM, which is next, which is basically a client success manager. You guys should know this. And they handle every single client's their relationship with the clients. So they're meeting with them on a bi-weekly basis. They're, downselling them, upselling them, getting the referrals, hitting their quotas. And that would be my next hire. And then after that would be a closer. And so once I hire those 2 positions, I'm essentially I'm out of the day-to-day. I don't need to focus on sales or media buying. I just need to focus on managing people. And then once you get to that 6-figure a month mark, then I could hire another person to manage the people who I once managed, right? And so that's how the flow goes. And it's so easy, it's difficult. Like, the name and business for the most part is so simple. Like, obviously you just test more ads. Obviously you just spend more. Obviously you just, scale your operations. It sounds so easy, which in all honesty, the formula is there. Like, the path to success is there. Just doing it and figuring it out is the difficult part. And so I'm right now in a 60-day sprint to get out of the operations so that I can focus on the highest leverage thing in business, which is B2B sales and marketing. And now the last point, which is freedom is the goal. Now, we're all in online business not to work 80 hours a week. Unless you like that, sure, go ahead. But it's more so to become financially free, location independence, and to do what you want when you want. That's essentially the goal here. And it's okay to come to terms with that. If you just want to make a boatload of money and help people along the way, that's fine. Like, that's okay to have those reasons why you're doing what you're doing. And so, to recap, leadership, build to sell, systems are important, stay consistent, race to get out of operations, freedom is the goal. And so I hope this video helps you guys put into perspective kind of my situation, where I'm at, what it takes to get to the next level, and then some of the key things I've been focusing on lately and new problems I've been facing to kind of get to that next level.